member of the House of complaint against former President Rodrigo Duterte for alleged grave threats. The Supreme Court made a significant ruling asserting that the Commission on Elections cannot remove or destroy privately owned campaign materials hosted in private property. Lawmakers in the upper chamber hit the Department of Environment and Natural Resources and the Philippine Reclamation Authority for its processes in approving reclamation projects in the country. And the Hamas militant group releases 2 Israeli women in Gaza as the United States expresses growing concerns over the escalating conflict in the region. Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Tuesday, October 24, 2023. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media channels. I am Harding Delgado. First in the news. Commission on Elections or COMELEC officials are scheduled to visit the province of Abra on Thursday. Meanwhile, the poll body aims to enhance the presence of checkpoints across the country. Dante Amento tells us why.
In a proactive move to gather first-hand information on the real situation in the area, Commission on Elections or COMELEC Executive Director Teopisto Elnas Jr. and Deputy Executive Director for Operations Rafael Olanyo will personally visit the province of Abra Thursday, October 26. This visit comes after an unprecedented event where 250 candidates in Abra withdrew their candidacies for the upcoming barangay and sangguniang kabataan elections.
Sapagkat ang report sa ating kahapon ng Regional Director kasama mismo si Chief PNP na wala namang pananakot at yung mga sinasabing pag-withdraw ng almost 250 candidates ay dahil sa pakiusap ng mga nakatatanda nila o yung elders na tinatawag.
COMELEC Chief George Erwin Garcia noted that 58 teachers also withdrew from serving in the elections out of delicadeza as they were allegedly related to the candidates. Meanwhile, the Commission revealed that a total of 22 verified election-related incidents have already occurred across the country. Consequently, they are in need of implementing necessary and drastic solutions to address this issue. Chairman Garcia believes that although COMELEC checkpoints are not perfectly effective, these crimes can be prevented by intensifying and strengthening security inspections.
Lalong-lalo na dapat immediate na maaresto kung sino man yung mga responsible sa mga krimen na ito upang patunayan natin na hindi natin papayagan na basta nagpapalaganap ng lagim yung mga taong yan.
The Commission emphasizes their determination to hold perpetrators during this election period accountable for their actions. Dante Amento, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Supreme Court has made a significant ruling asserting that the Commission on Elections or COMELEC cannot remove or destroy privately owned campaign materials posted in private property. The court granted the petition for certiorari, prohibition, and mandamus filed by St. Anthony College, which questioned the illegal removal of campaign materials during the 2022 elections in support of former Vice President Leni Robredo's candidacy. The SC ruled that COMELEC's actions were unconstitutional. In response, COMELEC Chief George Erwin Garcia emphasized that they are not involved in removing campaign materials from private properties, whether owned by candidates or not. He underscored that the free exercise of private ownership is guaranteed under the Constitution. Garcia also pointed out that the High Court's pronouncement allowed them to conduct oplan baklas against candidates and political parties, further strengthening their mandate. Makabayan Bloc lawmaker, House Deputy Minority Leader, and ACT Teachers Party List Representative Franz Castro has filed a criminal complaint specifically for grave threats against former President Rodrigo Duterte. The lawmakers' camp has emphasized that this complaint holds significance as it will serve as a litmus test for the Philippines' prosecutorial and justice system. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
House Deputy Minority Leader and ACT Teachers Party List Representative Franz Castro filed a criminal complaint of grave threats under Article 282 of the Revised Penal Code in relation to Section 6 of the Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012 against former President Rodrigo Duterte before the Office of the Prosecutor in Quezon City. This action is in response to statements made by the former chief executive against the lawmaker in an interview. Representative Castro stated she is merely performing her duties, particularly regarding legislative deliberations on the 2024 proposed national budget, as well as the confidential funds of the Office of Vice President Sara Duterte. She condemned the grave threats made by former President Duterte.
Sobra na po ito kung on national TV, sa social media, ay magbabanta siya sa buhay ng isang tao o isang mamamayan. So, it has to stop. Dapat tumigil na siya sa kanyang ginagawa.
The legal counsel of the lawmaker, particularly Attorney Antonio Lavinia of the Movement Against Disinformation, believes the complaint will prosper since the ex-president has lost his immunity from suit.
This is about accountability. See, President Duterte has gotten away with so many things when he was president kasi may immunity siya from suit. First time we're holding former President Duterte accountable for his actions in a Philippine court.
Meanwhile, Attorney Rico Domingo said the complaint will test the country's judicial system.
Ito ay pagsusubok sa judicial and prosecutorial system natin. Kung gaanong ka-epektibo o hindi ka-epektibo ito.
If found guilty, former President Duterte may face a fine of up to 100,000 pesos and imprisonment ranging from 6 months to 6 years. However, the former legal counsel and spokesperson of the president, Attorney Salvador Panelo, stated the complaint has no legal basis and it was just filed for propaganda purposes. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. was present to witness the signing of the United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework for the Philippines, commonly known as SDCF. The SDCF outlines the areas of cooperation between the Philippines and the United Nations for the period from 2024 to 2028, and it provides a strategic direction for UN activities at the country level. During a speech, the president voiced the Philippines' strong support for the United Nations, highlighting its role as a beacon of multilateral approaches in realizing lasting peace and progress for all peoples and nations. This collaborative framework underscores the commitment of the country to work in partnership with the international community to achieve sustainable development goals.
We look forward to vigorous engagements on key issues that bear on the future of our communities, including food security, health, education, climate action, decent work, digital transformation, and disaster risk reduction.
And for the news abroad, over a dozen countries tasked with designing a loss and damage fund are at a standstill as the United Nations climate negotiations loom closer. Annie Mancilia will tell us why live. Yes, Annie, good evening.
Aralyn, the committee composed of both developed and developing countries is diligently working on designing a fund to aid nations in recovering from damages caused by climate change. However, three crucial questions loom large. Who should oversee this fund? Who should bear the financial burden, and which countries will be eligible to receive aid? Gathering in Aswan, Egypt on Saturday, the committee had been expected to produce a draft list of recommendations. Instead, they opted to convene once more, this time in Abu Dhabi, on November 3 and 4, with the aim of resolving these critical divisions before the upcoming COP28 UN summit set to commence on November 30. The United States has advocated for the World Bank to host the fund, while developing countries are advocating for the creation of a new body within the United Nations to oversee it. as the former option could result in high fees for recipient countries. Furthermore, countries have voiced differing opinions regarding the areas the fund should target. The European Union has suggested a focus on the most vulnerable regions, while the United States suggests concentrating on areas affected by slow onset climate impacts, such as sea level rise. This loss and damage fund was approved during last year's COP27 summit in Egypt, and it holds the distinction of being the first United Nations fund dedicated to addressing climate-driven damage from floods, drought, and rising sea levels. Back to you, Arlen.
Thank you, Annie. We'll share more global stories with you later. For those watching our live streaming on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., along with concerned agencies, has initiated steps to address the growing concerns surrounding the surging prices of petroleum products. The Department of Energy reports that the chief executive has approved a series of mitigating measures designed to provide much-needed assistance to the transportation sector. Nelma Ribohok reports.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has taken decisive action, ordering a reduction in the trigger period for providing fuel subsidies to the transport sector. Energy Secretary Rafael Lotilla revealed during a palace press briefing that the president had given explicit instructions to modify the language of the 2024 General Appropriations Act or GAA provision regarding fuel subsidies for the transport sector.
The President gave instructions on changing the language of the 2024 GAA provision on fuel subsidies for the transport sector in order to shorten the trigger period from 3 months to 1 month and simplify the release requirements.
Under the current setup, the trigger for providing subsidies to drivers, including tricycle operators, is when the Dubai price per barrel exceeds $80 for 3 consecutive months. However, the energy chief explained that as part of a simplification effort proposed by the Department of Budget and Management or DBM to Congress, the guidelines will now only require agreement between the DBM, the Department of Transportation, and the Department of Energy or DOE. This development has been welcomed by transport groups including Piston.
Nararapat lamang na mas mabilis talaga yung kanilang pamamahagi, lalo na sa kalagayan na patuloy na tumataas yung presyo ng petrolyo.
Another measure discussed during the meeting is the implementation of a voluntary 20% ethanol blend for gasoline, which is expected to receive approval by the end of this year.
The utilization of a higher share of imported ethanol will result in lower pump prices because of the increased blend.
Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Some senators have raised concerns and grilled several government agencies for approving large-scale reclamation projects, even as concerns have been voiced by various sectors. This report will tell us why. Lawmakers in the upper chamber hit the Department of Environment and Natural Resources or DNR and the Philippine Reclamation Authority or PRA for its process in approving reclamation projects in the country. In the second Senate hearing on large-scale reclamation projects, port operators and shipping lines expressed their concern on the growing number of reclamation projects in the area as it affects their operations.
Madam Chair, that would be the Pasay Harbor City. The second one would be the Manila Horizon, and you have the Solar City as well as Waterfront. When we saw the layout of the geographical map, it actually covered the entrance channel to our facility, the inner breakwater where the port would actually be going into. And as it was laid out, it would also cover our inner anchorage. There will be other repercussions as well. in terms of our ability to serve the stakeholders.
Each vessel that will come through that new channel might cost an additional of $3,000 to $4,000. So our request is that if we may maybe recommend that the quarantine station and the pilot boarding station will be a little bit nearer.
The PRA says companies also apply for reclamation permits for port expansions, but lawmakers are not convinced.
Madam Chair, they have their own areas of jurisdiction wherein they can develop their for future expansions. In fact, even Manila Harbor is also applying for an expansion of the port for another 50 hectares, Madam Chair.
I understand the port. They're expanding the port. But when you are building, you are reclaiming for condominium near the port, that's a different story.
Senator Cynthia Villar also hit the former director of the DNR's Environmental Management Bureau, or ENB, for approving numerous environmental compliance certificates, or ECCs, for reclamation projects. The lawmaker from Las Piñas City took note of the granted ECC for the Las Piñas Parañaque Wetland Park in 2022, despite its cancellation in 2017 by former DNR Secretary Gina Lopez, and was eventually declared as a protected area.
I'm just only resolving the issue in terms of the cancellation, which is based on the 5 years as ruled by the Supreme Court.
Pero after that cancellation, it was declared as a legislated protected area. Hindi mo ino-honor ang legislation. Ha? Kinausap na kita dyan eh.
I told Acting Secretary James Ampolna that this is secretary to secretary's issue. So he said, no, I will have, you sign that, I will make directives that you will sign. So that means to say that there, according to my legal, when we have a process, this is delegating the authority to you to sign this resolution.
Yung Parañaque River, Las Piñas River, Zapote River, Molino River, they are interconnected. Pag hindi mo pinalabas sa isa, hindi makakalabas lahat. Ano gagawin mo sa amin? Pababahain mo kami? Ang prediction doon, 6 to 8 meters. You never consider that when you make decisions? Inutos lang sa'yo, gagawin mo.
Villar wants the DNR to review its processes in granting permits for reclamation projects in Manila Bay, as she fears that this might cause Metro Manila to submerge faster than ever. Harleen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God. The Land Transportation, Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, has emphasized the necessity of obtaining an out-of-line permit for public utility vehicles that will be used for provincial services during long holidays. JP Nunez will tell us why.
The Land Transportation, Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, has issued a reminder for those planning to use their public utility vehicles for provincial services during the Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections and the upcoming long holiday in November. These individuals may face apprehension if they do not secure an out-of-line permit, as outlined by LTFRB Technical Division Head Joel Bulano. The application process for the permit can be completed online, with the agency aiming to process the documents within 3 days.
Yung out of line is considered as colorum. So impoundable offense po yun. Together, ang allowed lang po manghuli dyan is si LTO at si LTFRB na DOTR. So kaya kung hanggat maaari, kung gagamitin niyo yung kanilang mga PUVs going out of the NCR, gagamitin po sa mga activities during election, make sure po na kumuha sila ng out-of-line permit sa LTFRB.
Furthermore, the LTFRB has expressed its intent to intensify its campaign against colorum vehicles. Their focus will be primarily on monitoring areas near terminals in Metro Manila, and their personnel will provide assistance to passengers during the holiday exodus.
Mayroon din po kami mga personnel na nakadeploy sa ating mga terminals para po doon sa mga complaint sa assistance na kailangan po ng ating mga pasahero. Kasabay na rin po yung pagsiguro, kasama po ang LTO, doon po sa pag-inspect ng mga units at mga papel, kung talaga pong may permit ito o kaya may mga prangkisa po yung mga tatakbo during the holiday.
JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And in other global news, Hamas released 2 Israeli women on Monday who were among the 200 hostages taken during the rampage in southern Israel on October 7th. Meanwhile, the United States has expressed growing concerns about the escalating conflict between Israel and Hamas, advising Israel to postpone any potential ground assault in the Gaza Strip. Paul Gatchalian will tell us details why.
The Israeli government announced the release of 2 elderly women, Nurit Cooper, aged 79, and Yoshevet Lifsitz, for medical evaluation on Monday, October 23. However, their husbands remain in the hands of Hamas. This development came after Hamas released the 2 women following the freeing of an American woman and her daughter last Friday. The United States has publicly acknowledged Israel's right to defend itself, but it has also advised Israel to prioritize negotiations for the release of other hostages. Meanwhile, European leaders and the United Nations have called for a humanitarian pause in hostilities to allow aid to reach Gaza. In addition, a U.S. Special Envoy is currently in negotiations with Israel, Egypt, and the United Nations to establish a system for delivering aid to Gaza on a regular basis. In more somber news, the Health Ministry has reported that at least 5,087 Palestinians were killed during a 2-week period of military attacks, which tragically included 2,055 children. Paul Gatchalian, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
On Monday, the 3rd humanitarian aid convoy successfully arrived in Gaza with much-needed supplies for civilians. Amidst the ongoing war, supplies such as water, food, and medicine are vital for the people caught in the crossfire. Humanitarian aid deliveries began on Saturday through the Rafah crossing, which borders Egypt and Gaza. Due to the total siege imposed by Israel after the Hamas attack on October 7th, the Rafah crossing remains the main pathway for delivering humanitarian aid. According to United Nations officials, approximately 100 aid trucks are required daily to meet the needs of the 2.3 million people in Gaza. As of Monday, UN spokesman Stefan Dujarric confirmed that a total of 54 humanitarian aid trucks have entered Gaza. Currently, there are shortages in the fuel reserve in the area, and no additional fuel supplies were included in the 3rd aid convoy delivery. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I am Oralyn Quijano, live from Toronto, Canada. Good evening.
The Philippines has received nominations in 4 different categories in this year's World Travel Awards. Beyond its beautiful islands and beaches, the Philippines has garnered the affection of tourists due to its diverse culinary offerings and the warm hospitality of its people. Gladys Tuabi will tell us why.
Filipinos are encouraged to show their love and support as the Philippines has been nominated in 4 categories in this year's World Travel Awards. These nominations include World's Leading Island Destination, World's Leading Beach Destination, and World's Leading Dive Destination. Additionally, the Philippines Department of Tourism is nominated as World's Leading Tourist Board. To cast your vote, you can visit www.worldtravelawards.com/vote. After with the pandemic with borders slowly easing, tourists from both local and abroad have been visiting the Philippines.
Notable pa rin siyempre, Gladys, yung ating Boracay. Hindi mo pwede pasupalian yung Boracay. Talagang it's still, a #1 destination, not only for Filipinos but also for foreigners. Kasunod dyan, of course, yung ating mga island destinations katulad ng El Nido, ng Coron, at saka meron tayo ngayong San Vicente Island sa Palawan. Siyempre, ito yung mga magagandang destinations na talagang you will really enjoy yung cleanliness ng ating waters.
What draws them to the country goes beyond its beautiful beaches, islands, and attractions.
Iba yung cuisine naman natin, kahit saan ka pumunta ka sa Visayas, makakakain ka ng iba't ibang klaseng lechon. Yung mga lechon na yan, dyan mo lang matitikman. Pumunta ka ng Cebu, pumunta ka ng Misamis Occidental, pumunta ka ng Iligan. You will taste different kinds of, ng lechon. Yung ating timpla ay kakaiba at madaling mag-adjust sa palig ng ating foreign guests. Hindi lamang pang-local, talagang pang-international yung ating mga cuisine dito sa ating bansa.
Tourists have fallen in love with the Philippines because of its diverse cuisines and the warm hospitality of its people. A Japanese tourist who recently visited the country for the first time expressed the warmth of the welcome they received from Filipinos.
Friendly and kind. だから Philippine people so hot, beautiful.
Gladys Tawabi, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Facing consecutive challenges, the residents of Barangay Alno in La Trinidad, Benguet endured severe storms that hit the Cordillera Administrative Region in recent months. However, despite the hardships, a beacon of hope shone through the MCGI Cares activity held in the community. Here is a story filled with resilience and collaboration in the report by Chantel Cayaos.
The village of Alno is located in the peaceful municipality of La Trinidad, Benguet, nestled in the pristine mountains. The colorful fields and cool mountain air have long been a source of livelihood for farmers in the area. Alno is one of the producers of flowers that are distributed to the various parts of the country. However, in the past months, the region has faced severe challenges due to the consecutive calamities that have caused damage to the community's livelihood and health.
Since some of our residents in the municipality of La Trinidad have incurred colds, cough, so lahat ng hospital i-kuhan ngayon full for general check-up. So it's high time that dumating na ang pinakahihintay ng mga tao rito sa munisipyo ng La Trinidad.
At a time when hope seemed to be fading, blessings that bring joy arrived.
Masaya ako kasi may ganitong programa tumutulong sa amin. Masaya ako kasi yung mga anak ko na dinala ko dito, medyo mahirap sa akin na ipa-check up sila kasi walang income. Kaya dito lang ako sa clinic at sana tuloy-tuloy nyo lang na gawin ang programang ito para maraming matutulungan po. Salamat po sa MCGI ulit at pumunta kayo rito. Masaya ako na nandito kayo at pinapanalangin ko na sana bigyan kayo ng lakas ng Panginoon at patnubayan kayo sa lahat ng mga ginagawa niyo po.
More than 300 residents receive free services such as medical and optical consultations, dental checkups, circumcisions, and haircuts.
Salamat sa Diyos, napakalaming salamat dahil sa Kanya at andito kami, nabigyan ng lahat-lahat. may gamot, libreng gamot, may naitago na salita ng Diyos, may libre pang eyeglass namin, reading glass, at saka salamat din na kahit sabi nila huwag na kayong mag-breakfast, dito raw bibigyan ng breakfast. Ayun, totoo naman, busog kami sa breakfast at lunch.
The resilience of the residents in the face of various life challenges is evident, like Manang Cristita, who continues to fight against breast cancer despite financial constraints and other needs. The spirit of unity and kindness brought by the MCGI Cares strengthened her resolve.
Kung minsan po walang pera, sabi ko, kakayanin ko to sa tulong ng Panginoon po. Kaya may faith talaga ako sa Diyos. Hindi ako dadalawang isip na siyang tumulong sa akin po hanggang ngayon. Natapos na po yung 6th session na chemotherapy ko sa Bagtigen. Salamat po sa Panginoon na kayo po ang ginawang instrumento na pumunta dito sa amin sa Barangay Alno at magbahagi ng blessings na galing sa Kanya. Talagang masayang-masaya po ako. Hindi ko yung saya ko. Thank you, Lord, na mayroon kayo na nagpapalakas sa amin na kahit anong pinagdadaanan namin hindi kayo nag-atubiling tumulong sa ibang tao, sa kapwa namin na mahihirap. At nandyan kayo palagi na kahit na malayo kayo na bumibiyahe ay ginagampanan ninyo ang pagtulong sa aming mga mahirap. Kahit na ito, malayo pang mga lugar na pinupuntahan ninyo ay pinakaya ninyo kahit na kung minsan pagod kayo pero nandyan talaga ang Lord na siyang tumutulong din sa inyo.
Salamat sa Diyos, may mga kapatid tayo na katulad nila, yung mga kapatid na volunteers at saka sa mga doctors din dahil alam ko hindi naman ganun kadami, kaunti lamang sila, alam ko. Pero yung dedication nila sa pagtulong, pagsama sa mga MCGI Cares natin, hindi po matatawaran dahil yung iba sa kanila, mga senior citizens na may edad na po sila. Kapag naisip ko yung mga experience nila sa biyahe, mga malalayong biyahe, mga mapapanganib na daanan dito sa atin, sa Benguet and Mountain Province. Nabibilib po ako sa kanila na tuloy-tuloy pa rin po sila sa pag-volunteer as medical doctors.
In the face of adversity, stories like these demonstrate that hope and goodness shine even in the darkest times. Chantal Cayaos, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Our Kasambahay, as the world faces these trying times amid the various challenges and uncertainties, we are inviting everyone to join the global prayer for humanity.
Good day. I'm Brother Eli Soriano of the members of the Church of God International. I want to invite you to join us in a minute of prayer every day to pray for humanity and the whole world as we go through these perilous times. While safety measures like washing of hands and strengthening of our immune systems may help us through this horrible predicament, there is still no precaution or cure more powerful than God's mighty intervention. And we need His intervention now more than ever. It doesn't matter what religion you are in or what denomination you belong. This is an invitation for all the people around the world who cares for the future of their family, friends, loved ones, and humanity as a whole. Everybody is welcome to pray with us. For more details, you can check out the description box below. Thank you very much, and I hope to hear from you soon. May God bless you.
And before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God. From the book of Isaiah, chapter 65, verse 24, it says, "And it shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear." And those are the reasons behind the news, October 24, 2023. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. Because we need to know. We will always ask why. I am Hardin Delgado. We serve the people. We give glory to God.